Daisy makes a new friend. Deke gets punched in the face a couple times. Mac wrestles with his inner demons. And we discover the reasons why Kasius is on Earth. And what he plans on doing when he leaves. Plus, come on, admit it. You fist pumped as soon as that last reveal happened, didn't you? I know I did. It's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode 4. A Life Earned. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So yes, of course, spoilers are a-coming. Alright, another good episode this week. Really, just the pace on these episodes so far I think have been really nice. They're really moving the story forward on all fronts. We're not wasting time. Every little bit so far really seems to be contributing to the overall story and really pushing things forward. So I'm really enjoying the pace that they are maintaining so far this season. Learned a lot from last season. It's working for them. But I want to start off this week with our Kree host, Kasius. I know we have a lot of fans out there for Kasius. If you call people that desperately hate this guy fans. And I have to say, I really enjoyed him much more this episode. Yes, he's evil. Yes, he's a bad guy and deserves the long, slow, painful death considering everything that he is doing that we get to find out more about this week. But I think our actor has really stepped into this role. I often think that it takes a little bit of time to really slip into a character and find all of the nuance and moments. And I just found this week to really be strong. I mean, we get some good focus on Kasius in the beginning of the discussion with Daisy about the history of humanity and how he saved them and all of these crazy gods and mythologies they followed, one of them called Quake. It was just his pacing and his presence, I think, has really tightened up and really, I think, shown this episode, making him a very devious character, a very evil character, and kind of relishing in his position. I think it came off really nicely this week. But we do get kind of, again, we get Kasius' background here, and we get sort of set up for the world. And I think it's illustrated early on, of course, how he uses Jemma in order to get Quake to do what he wants. Do what I want, you know, jump in, do the fighting, act what you're told to act, do the things you're told to do, or Jemma will pay. Which of course motivates her, but clues into how he gets all of the other Inhumans going. That's a little reveal Ben gets to tell her when they meet down in the fighting pits. Which, by the way, I love the little fight between Ben and Ty there. I know it was just sort of practice, it was just working through, it wasn't real combat, but it was tight. It was very clean moves. We can really get to see how this is a skilled fighter, and I can't wait to see him kind of sort of let loose with things moving forward. But he tells Daisy the same thing, you know. She's being Daisy, she's impetuous, she's angry. Why aren't you fighting back? You know, it's still, everybody's kind of caught in these old world ideas of the right and wrong and how people should act. And Ben lays it out pretty clearly for her. Look. If we don't do what they say, then our families suffer. If we do what they say, then our families are rewarded. And by rewarded, we mean they have a chance to survive. And survival is everything here. Also, the whole breeding of Inhumans, that is the whole point behind Kasius' idea, so it gets pulled out throughout the rest of the episode. I think it's a great thing, and it really zooms in on what is going on down in these lower levels and sort of explains everything. We already saw the bidding with Abby last week, and now we get to see is that's actually the whole reason why he is here. He is taking humanity and working with their genetics and breeding and controlling the breeding in order to create more Inhumans, which he again put through Teragenesis and then sell off. So he's got a lot invested. obviously takes a lot of time and effort. He has talked about sacrifice, which seemed to be pretty high, and considering the shame Ben later tells Daisy of what Kasius feels about all of this work that he's doing on Earth and planning on pretty much killing everyone as soon as he's got what he wants and leaves. I'm really curious what those sacrifices are. I want to know Kasius' backstory. I want to know why he's as bad as he is. But of course, with that reveal, we also get Ben now motivated to do a little bit more than just stand by. Meanwhile, in another part of the station, we have Coulson and company losing members. And I like that whole little reflection scene that they had there at the beginning, where Coulson is worried about the people that are going and that, hey, we should stick with Mac's idea. I think we should all stick together. Let's pair up Yo-Yo and Mac with the perfect pairing, and Coulson and May. So I like that idea. The one question I do have of this is, okay, you know, Grill's the butthead, for sure. And the fact that he takes Mac, the gentle giant, and wants to use him as a strong arm, yeah, there's a certain kind of funny aspect of that from our standpoint, though it really does turn out to be rather a serious and interesting arc for Mac through this episode, which I really liked. But Grill seems to be very important, that they have to, you know, there are guests coming and they've got to churn out more iron for Kasius to sell. Another way that he's working to make his money. But that everybody's going to work triple shift and we've got to get this done, and then he kind of leaves. And then everybody else just kind of leaves. Which, it's a small thing, I realize, but it's like as soon as Grill's not there, everybody else just sort of takes off and wanders around. I'm hoping everybody else in that factory is working hard to get all of, get their required amount of iron and such by the end of shift. But it was one moment that I thought was kind of interesting. It's just how easily these guys are able to just wander around as long as Grill isn't there. I mean, it's pretty much got to be Grill because Zev is, you know. Alright, so yeah, at this point we kind of have our split of characters, at least teaming up. No one's going alone. Good thinking, Mac. We've got Coulson and May, and Mac and Yo-Yo. Well, let's start off with Coulson and May, and really Deke, who drifts right back into here. And I like, you know, again, a lot of stuff kind of happening through this episode. We have Deke easily falling into his storytelling of running into Daisy and, you know, partly the truth and partly not the truth. I love the fact that he did use her line to him after she pushed him away, quaked him, and got in the elevator about, I don't care about anything and I'm going to do it by myself. And Coulson's, yeah, that sounds like Daisy. Best lies are mostly truth, and Deke seems to really know this. But that comes back to sort of bite him on the butt. When we find out, and we finally get to the levels, the level 35, and find out what really is going on in here, that this is where they breed the kids. Why? Because humans can't breed on their own. There is some sort of birth control that they believe is in the food, but there is no more regular births. Why? It allows the Inhumans to control the population, control, you know, who gets what, plus also, again, control the sort of genetic mixes that way, sort of see what happens, let them raise up. So, very devious on the part of the Kree here, of course. Kasius, you know, playing up the evil role nicely. But the discovery of Daisy's blood throws the lie right back into Deke's face. And I love the exposure. Wham! Right in the face by May. And what's Coulson's response? Yeah, this is where May punches you, breaks your face. You know, it's perfect. I mean, it was a great reveal, and then of course a couple of awesome fights immediately following up with that. Deke's line of, oh, okay, we're fighting now? I just thought, I do love the character, and I love the fact that we get to find out a little bit more. When we do have the following scene where Coulson again punches him in the face, a lot of face punching for Deke, but he deserves it. Deke's response, and we get to find out why he responded so strongly when he heard the recording, why he went from, oh, I don't care, to, we got to get up there and we got to help. Because this is his father, apparently. Deke, he did imply, we did get the implied story, that his parents, or he was from a group that were the Believers, that knew of this mythology of Quake and the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything. But when he was 9, his mom was dragged off, killed. Dad took up the mantle. Deke told him to stop. He wouldn't. And then at one point he was sent up to the surface to go get killed by the Vrexnellians, who of course, took out Zev last week. But he didn't die. No, he is still out there, which we're assuming we now have a human component. Probably people that were sent out to the planet's surface in order to die, and is now creating this little sub-colony out there, which I'm kind of excited about. But you tell good lies, Deke, so Coulson can't totally trust you. So Deke's going to be on the sidelines for a little while now. Luckily, at least sort of pays up to help settle out some of Mac's little storyline. Now, the Mack and Yo-Yo storyline, also really strong. I love that we're dealing with a lot of the repercussions from last seasons of dealing with the framework. And that's really what is happening with Mack. I mean, he's already a little frustrated about being in a situation like this, caught in the future. So you talk to Coulson about quitting, which, how are you going to do that at this stage, realistically, Mack? But we find out why what really is been bothering Mack. And throughout this, we sort of see the little seeds of him. Of course, he doesn't want to be the strong-arm guy, and he doesn't want to be that kind of person that has to live in this kind of world and do the kind of things that Grill is making him do because he's the big guy. This is not the type of world that he wants to live in. I mean, Mack's a big, gentle giant. He's a lovable guy. And I like that Yo-Yo kind of puts it into perspective of like, look, I grew up in a place just like this. And that's awesome that Yo-Yo is actually probably the most comfortable in this environment. Not because she likes it, but she is familiar with it. This type of world is pretty much the world that she grew up in, which is everything is ruled by fear, it's give and take, it's life and death. Survival is the key of the moment, is the key to the day. So the fact that the two of them work together, I mean, they're a great couple together in many ways, but that mutual support I thought was really strong here. And then when they meet up with our little kid there guy, that they've got to go extort money out of Gunner. Thank you, his name was escaping me for a moment. When they get to Gunner and kind of do the big strong arm thing, and it ends up being something entirely different. You do that the moment that Mack threatened the package, like he wanted to step forward to kind of help Yo-Yo out, and makes that move, and Gunner's immediate response and twist is like, look, we were talking about money a moment ago, and now I will kill you if you go after that. That is, that's an emotional grab. And then it ends up being the whole kid thing, and then Mack can see at this moment that he has turned into what he was fearing that he would turn into, what he was afraid everybody else was going to go in, what this world would do. And why is it? Because this whole time he's been struggling with the loss of hope. His daughter Hope, not regular Hope, of course. And how real that relationship was in the framework. And why can I let go of a dead actual kid and not be able to let go of a dead, imaginary kid? Well, one thing, Hope in the real world was a little baby. Hope in the framework grew up with Mack. He had her the whole life. He has a lifetime of experience, her lifetime of experience. So the mind does not tell the difference. If you imagine doing something, your brain processes it the exact same way as if you do something. Which is why when they do athlete training, they often say, visualize. See yourself doing it. Basketball players, see yourself making the basket. Baseball players, see yourself hitting the ball. Imagine that. See it. The more you see it in your mind, the more of a reality your body is able to make it. Your mind processes that information the exact same way. So whether this was a real person or a fake person, that experience, as Yo-Yo shows him, is still real. That love and emotional connection. And I could certainly say, coming from a father, going through that would be the worst thing I could imagine going through. So I like the arc that we have there with Mack, of him kind of facing the fears, seeing what's going on, and realizing that that emotion is not something that he has to be afraid of or question, that there's a reality to it, and that Yo-Yo, in more than one ways, got his back. Now, as we saw from the beginning and throughout this episode, Kasius has been overly focused on this whole prophecy. And he would probably have less questions as Deke told him he would stop killing everybody who had heard of it. It's true. There's no reference point at that point. But that whole sequence does lead us to our Scene of the Week, which is the truth test that we had with Quake and Jemma and Ben there. Was so beautifully done. On many levels. The fact that he brings in a telepath that he thinks he could trust, and I mean there's no reason for him to think that he can't, to do this little test, that's one thing. We do the test, you tell him the truth, easy story, okay, fine. When he gets to having her tell the tale, okay, well how did you get here? Tell me the whole thing, don't leave anything out. Already a nice, better thing. And all I'm thinking is, we've been watching Jemma. She's learning to read lips, right? So she's got to kind of get a bit of this story. And then he steps right in between. It was just, and again, when we have, with that whole effect going on with the earwig and the focus that's going on with Jemma there, where she can't hear, really see anything, that really adds that extra layer of suddenly being completely isolated. Now, I thought that it was, again, best lies are near the truth. So Daisy telling the tale as she did made sense. I mean, again, mostly truth with just a little bit of lie. Fitz wanting to leave and them having pulling out and taking to the diner just the two of them. You know, otherwise, pretty much regular tale. Maybe a little complex with a lot of bits of information. But on the other hand, if you think, well, if I tell a good general tale with a good twist, less likelihood of Jemma, you know, guessing or veering off too much from that point. But then when Kasius turns and asks Jemma to tell that story, and there's that pause where you almost think, God, we are totally screwed. And she does and tells the tale, not exactly the same, but close enough where all the facts match up. Yes, at that point we know that Ben had to have been involved and told that story there, but the way that it was handled and how they built the tension from the beginning, and then we get that final reveal of Jemma telling and confirming that story, and from Kasius' viewpoint, that had to be the truth. Well, let's just say from a surface standpoint, that had to be the truth, because there would have been no other way for the two of them to have been able to share the same story unless it was actually the truth, dismissing Ben's unknown ability as far as he's concerned to be able to project his thoughts as well as read them. I thought that was just awesome. Really well done. And we get that final little coda thing where he's acknowledging, look, I'm not saying, when he leans to Sonara and says, I'm not saying that this is the whole truth. I know, I have my suspicions too, but you're not the only person working on this. Which I'm assuming, of course, is that reference to Deke, who said he was going to look into things, but not going to work out the same way that Kasius thinks it is. And yes, I do want to make a comment on the Sonara May fight, which was beautiful. I mean, the fight with the Kree and everything else, even with Coulson there, was great. It's definitely still got some extra strength in that hand, even though it's just the civilian model. That's awesome. Always amazing to see May fight. I love the choreography they do with this, and certainly taking down a Kree, not beyond May's capabilities. The following fight with Sonara was super cool. I was wondering how they're going to do those Sonara's balls. That's what they're called. Versus May. I love the jump flip with the axe and the balls fly past her and then the soup fight and then she bats them away. I mean, really, it handled that extra bizarre weapon really well to keep it out of the way and allow the focus to be between Sonara and May. But May's not 100%, so she doesn't end up in really necessarily a good position in that fight. And look, yes, in the final reveal scene, we do have Sonara saying, you know, Kasius asks, do you take care of our other guest? Yes. And we see her wiping blood and nasty stuff off of the little balls. But we know May's not dead. How further wounded was she? Or, and again, because we didn't see anything, I'm just throwing this out as a possibility, Sonara isn't entirely who she appears to be. Could she be working both sides? She seems to be very dedicated to Kasius, so I believe she probably just bam, knocked May out and dragged her off so we could have a further discussion and reveal with Quake and Jemma and all those types of things that Kasius loves to allow to torture people. So no, I don't think May is dead by any stretch of the imagination. But because we don't see it, it does make me wonder, what exactly did Sonara do? Was it just seeming like she knocked her out and dragged her off, or, again, more likely, she did? But also in that scene, come on, you fist pumped, I totally did. Fitz! Fitz is back! So excited, perfect way, and I was wondering who was in the back. When we saw him with the helmet on still, focused in the back there, I knew that wasn't Deke, somebody else, and that he pulls off, and it's Fitz, and of course he's throwing Quake Daisy there under the bus. Should be a battle to the death for the destroyer of worlds. I am excited. And I am so excited for next week when we get to hear his tale. Yes. Just a couple of small things. One, the coin that Kasius gave to Deke as payment for Quake was made of rhodium. Rhodium, atomic number 45, a silvery white, non-corrosive metal, one of the noble metals, and in the same family as platinum, is in fact the rarest and most valuable of the precious metals. So, yeah, that would certainly fetch a nice price on the market, and as we find out with our new father paying off Grill, certainly will pay off all of your debts. Speaking of Grill, yeah, call him Mac, Monster Mac. You're gonna fit in right here. You suck, Grill. Man, I can't wait till they're out of that place. Coulson's line when he finds out about the whole breeding thing and the lack of fertility among human race. Super! And the vibe goes full dystopian. Coulson has the best lines. I was a little perplexed at why Sonara grabbed the soldering gun and dropped it in front of Jemma. I mean, we didn't see it used anymore there, but I mean, I guess it was just a referral to whoever Jemma was working with when she used the soldering iron to cauterize the wound on the other guy, which is how she got up there. I'm guessing, but it just seemed odd that it wasn't really referred to anymore after that. Oh, and I loved Kasius' smackdown of Lady Basha. When she suddenly seems so interested in Quake. Well, one, also, I loved Quake. The tie right there. Oh, wants a demonstration? Okay, sucker. That was nice. But Kasius' little knockdown of Lady Basha there. Oh, I'm sorry, bating's going to be over dinner, and since you prefer to eat on your ship, bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. It was... it's nice. Evil, appropriate. Just nice. Deke calling the Kree-pers. Alright, so next week, Fitz, the story of Fitz. I cannot wait. I'm really hoping that they lean hard into this. I have to say, there's amazing acting on this show. By everyone, by far. But the top of the list is Ian DeCastecker. What he has pulled off over the arc of these 5 seasons with this character has been nothing short of amazing. And I'm really looking forward to him kind of pulling in all of that data and all of those sense of selves. I mean, I love how he has changed over the years. We had that first mission with Ward way back in season 1, where he goes from being the meek science guy to willing to step forward and put himself in danger because we've had the same training and this is what the team does. To one of my favorite bits, right after Jemma was gone, and that first scene was episode 2 or 3 in season when he is looking for information on the monolith, and he does that trip down to the Middle East to gather information. It was just, you see Fitz really is strong, really is an arc of character there, and then later on, I mean, he tore a hole in the universe to get to Jemma. And now with the experience that he has with the framework, yes, that was disgusting, but I think there's a hard edge to that that he's going to find useful to be able to get get back to the future. Well, to the future, not back yet. But I'm really excited to see how this plays out. I'm super excited that Dick Blood is going to be back. That is an awesome pairing up. I cannot wait for it. And that is next week. But that's it for now for us. So thank you so much for joining me on this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can hit that like button or share across various multimedia, social media platforms. Comments, ideas, what you guys think of the episode? What was your favorite scene? Is Kasius really getting at you? And what about Deke? Do you trust him? Do you think he's being truthful here? Or is this just another story of his? Throw your thoughts down in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. Now, if you are a Mr. Robot fan, I am doing a 2-hour discussion tomorrow, or today, I guess by the time this gets out, Saturday the 16th, 5 p.m. Pacific. I will try and put up a link through Twitter, and if I can put a little video up that has a little link to it. Also, it's on Acton Tomco's page over on YouTube, but I will let you guys know the information. We're talking all about the whole season. So really exciting. If you guys are Mr. Robot fans, you don't want to miss it, so look out for that. Subscribers, if you're not a subscriber, join up. We got a whole season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You don't want to miss any of that. Plus, we're going to cover Legion and Westworld this year, and, well, there are other things, but they're being pushed off. American Gods, I don't know what's happening with that. But everything else, you won't want to miss. Subscribe by just hitting my face right here. And I'll throw up our latest couple of reviews right here, and you can check those out. So, again, thank you. I am D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.